Hello, I hope you're well. I always wanted to be a ballerina. There was just always something beautiful about watching them, the grace with which they carried themselves and with which they got carried. I wasn't quite sure whether it was the aspect of being carried that I was more fascinated about, but everything about it was just something I really desired. Being one of those children graced with the gift of singing, dancing, and acting from a very young age, it was easy for me to pick up any dance. I simply just learned by observing, and I began to teach myself to be a ballerina. But then I got to realize that ballerinas were always very slim, thin for some of them, I dare say. And I was never quite thin. I thought I needed to be thin to be a ballerina, so I would not eat. And even when I ate, I would try to choke myself so that I could regurgitate everything I've taken in, just to ensure that I stay as slim and as slender and possibly as thin as I could be. I got so thin, even my family members thought I was sick. I absolutely thought it was a curse to be a fat, chubby ballerina. I was a part of several dance groups in my teenage years, and whenever there were dance dramas or just a fusion where there had to be a lifting, I always loved when the men had to lift the women off the floor. But I realized that I was never the one put in the place to be lifted. It was always the slimmer girls, and that somewhat hit me wrongly. So I always wanted to be that slim girl that is lifted. And for the longest time, whenever it was that I felt I added weight, I felt that nobody would be able to lift me again. I had gotten too big to even be a dancer. This mindset plagued me for the longest time, where I didn't come to appreciate who I was, appreciate my body type. I had known about the body types, the mesomorphs, the endomorphs, and the ectomorphs, but I never paused to picture which of these I belonged to up until my 40s, where I sat to understand who I was, understand my physiology, so that I could apply myself correctly. For as long as I didn't recognize how I had been created, to understand, embrace, and love, learn to take care of that person and progressively show up with that person, I compared myself with every other slender ectomorph and always considered that I was never good enough. There are many of us that have been submerged by ideologies because we didn't know ourselves well enough. We looked at every other person, and we still look at every other person thinking that they are everything, that they have everything. We look at them for far too long up until we no longer know what we look like. I'm inviting someone to pause and look at you, because you already have everything that you require to operate as a genius on this earth. You don't need to look like someone else, sound like someone else, or be like anybody else, because you are already genius in yourself. But up until you get to realize that, you will want to be like every other person that flashes by you, or every single thing that the media presents as perfect. This is an invitation for somebody to emerge from that place of submergence and begin to operate in the fullness of the genius that you've already been created to be, so that you can gift the best of yourself to the rest of your world.